riding is getting onto a relatively deserted slope, feeling that sensation of sliding through the soft snow, and the total silence as you're moving through the trees. The only sound you hear is when you're crashing through some branches or bouncing off a tree.
It's a chance to sort of take your brain, put it on a shelf, and let your body have some fun. Snowboarding early on took a lot of influence from skateboarding and from surfing. A lot of the people who got into snowboarding were people who spent their summers either riding on concrete with a skateboard or riding on water with a surfboard and wanted to transfer that same feeling to snow.
Lots of speed. You become one with the mountain almost, You do whatever you want, you can be free and just go with it.
What Jake did, and his huge contribution to the sport, was recognizing the business opportunities and the commercial value of the sport of snowboarding.
Well, I grew up on Long Island, right next to the ocean, and I was sort of a frustrated surfer. I'd never had the money as a kid to buy a surfboard, and I hung out around the beach a lot and sort of boogie boarded on pieces of styrofoam. Then a company called Brunswick, which is big in the bowling alley business, came out with a product called the Snurfer, and it was a toy-like version of a snowboard. And the minute I got on this product and could do it, it was just really interested me and grabbed me. And from that point forward, I always knew that there was an opportunity there for this to become a sport.
It's like dancing.
More fun than skiing. It's a better thrill, there's more to do.
More tricks to do.
More tricks, I don't know. 360s. Of course, I can't do any of that stuff, but I like to try. Follow my butt and stuff like that.
Jake was working in New York at a company that brokered corporate mergers, and one day in 1977 figured that wasn't really his bag, and he would try to make a business out of this sport that he so much enjoyed. And he left the Wall Street firm, kind of ditched that job, went up to Vermont, took $100,000 and sunk it into his snowboarding business, and promptly went broke because he had underestimated, I guess, or overestimated, or improperly calculated the demand.
In the early days, it was a lot of work. We had to go and personally make a presentation to the ski area and lobby with them and go out and ride. They'd be skiing, we'd go riding and show them that we could turn right and left and stop and everything else. And they'd be always very leery of us, and they'd obviously see that we were acting, in our own best interest and so forth. And it was a tough road, but we got, some cracks in the wall in places like Stratton Mountain and Breckenridge out west and Boreal out in California. Places gave us an opportunity, and it started to take off from there.
Snowboarding has grown up and left Jake's house years ago. I mean, it's got a whole life of its own now. It's not just Burton. It's a whole industry.
What we do is we live the sport, and we have people within the company that live the sport, and also people that embody the demographic that we're marketing to and have a good representation there. And then it all comes very naturally.
Most of us here at this company ride much more than the average person rides. And that's a goal here that everyone has, is to spend as much time as they can on snow.
It's everything. It's my whole community. It's most of my friends come from riding, and most people that I hang out with.
People will always say, geez, we need to come up with a mission statement or something. We don't have to come up with a mission statement. I mean, our whole reason for being is the sport of snowboarding.
Everything we do is focused on the rider, and when I say the rider, I talk about the core rider, the active participant, the person who's really in touch with the mountain and really in touch with the product.
We do not make a product, a hat, a glove, a boot, a binding that does not, A, come from the core rider, and B, enhance the riding experience. We have development teams comprised of between 3 and 6 professional riders,
And these teams are really responsible working with a product manager or a marketing coordinator in developing the product, the graphics, and then the communication of that product.
For us, a team is our direct link to reality. I mean, we sponsor the top athletes in every market worldwide, whether it's Japan, Europe, or North America. And we're sponsoring people who are spending 100, 150 days a year on snow.
It's a broad-ranging group. They're core alpine riders, core free riders, core backcountry people. They ride every opportunity they can year-round. They're completely committed to their equipment and customizing the products for their own use.
If I'm a product manager here responsible for boots, I'm going to use the team as my #1 source for feedback on my new product line.
The consumer is king, and if the consumer says you have a lousy product, that's all. His opinion is all that matters. If he says you have a great product, you try and get at them. Why? Why do you like brand A more than brand B? Why do you like Burton versus this knockoff? Why do you buy Nike instead of Reebok? And you hear some very interesting things about the image, the lifestyle, the things that people associate with brands.
The ultimate job of anyone who's in charge of the marketing is to determine what the most efficient mix is for the given product and the product categories. The team is a huge portion of that mix. A typical pro athlete is not only a competitor and a rider, but they are a spokesperson. They can go out and, spread the message with respect to Burton and the sport. In addition to the team, we spend a lot of money on POP, POS, in-store type things. A lot of money goes into hang tags and packaging. Once people are in the store, we're trying to develop pieces that will help educate people on the floor so they can make the purchase. We spend a tremendous amount of money on print collateral. The biggest piece would be our consumer catalog, which is done in multiple languages.
The sport can be intimidating to the uninitiated. It's a different lifestyle, it's a different grouping of products. So we developed this catalog that we gave to our dealers that they can hand out called the Virgin Catalog. And it just basically says what to look for, how to look for it, what questions to ask. Kind of like written from the perspective of someone who rides, and if their buddy came up and said, I'm thinking of getting into this sport, what should I think about?
And then on top of all that, we also spend a fair amount of money on print advertising, primarily vertical consumer publications, Trans World Snowboarding, Snowboarder, skateboarding magazines, surfing magazines, things like that.
Well, you have to be careful that you don't look like someone who typically wears a suit who's pretending to be something else. So you have to have the authenticity. With all of these grassroots sports, authenticity is their calling card.
To me, it's half lifestyle, half sport. It's almost too bad that it's not more technologically driven, because we would have our job would be a lot easier. But when you're marketing to using lifestyle, it is much more difficult because it's these dichotomies. If you try too hard, you'll miss. And if you don't get it, then you miss.
Since snowboarding is relatively new to the mountain environment, one of the big things has been to expose consumers to boards. And the best way to do that is to have product available on the mountain for trial.
Are you looking to get a new board? Oh, yeah. All right, here you go. Have a good time. Great. Thanks. I'll be here. Okay.
Getting people on product on snow is really the way to convince them that this is the product to buy. It's really sampling, pure and simple. It's the same as getting a box of Fruit Loops attached to your doorknob. You take it and use it, and if you like it, then you'll buy it. And if not, there's no amount of advertising in the world that's going to get you to buy it.
My dedication comes because I love the sport that I do. It's the feeling, and I can't really explain to you the feeling without you being there.
people are much more hit with video and with magazines. That's where your core audience is. Obviously, TV can reach people that are either just getting into the sport or don't know about the sport. But as it stands right now, we don't run a lot of spots.
Typically with any subculture, when you're trying to reach a subculture, you don't use mainstream media, so you're not going to take out big television ads. You're not going to take out ads in Sports Illustrated. You're going to find the niche magazines, and you would design weird ads that adults would find strange, but that younger people would find a little edgy or cool.
Video, it's a great way to communicate with riders. In the absence of really having a lot of primetime TV, it's really the best way for riders to check out what everybody else is doing around the world. The other thing with riders is they'll watch videos 20, 30 times. I mean, they completely devour them. They'll know every trick, every rider, every scene. They'll be able to quote them. People play them in shops all the time, like we do here. I mean, it's just great background. It gets people psyched. It shows what's happening in the sport.
The one unique thing about snowboarding right now is it's a small enough industry, and it's something you can still wrap your hands around. It's tangible, and you can see improvement year after year. But that is absolutely what drives this company. Is always looking forward, never looking back.
Competition has gone in and out of favor. The U.S. Open has been around for years, and we started it because I was tired of hearing all these riders say to each other that they were better than the other guy. And that's grown, and that's a terrific competition. But in the mainstream world, the Olympics is going to be a very interesting phenomena for us to deal with. It's going to fully mainstream the sport, and there's going to be some regimentation brought in that comes along with the Olympics, which has never been around snowboarding. When anything like that has started to happen, it's been pushed out very quickly.
Jake and Burton Snowboards, they very much, I think, want the sport to retain the edge that it has, because that's what makes it appealing to the market demographics that they're going at. So if the last 20 years have been fascinating, I mean, inside the industry, the next 5 years or decade, with the exposure to the Olympics and everything, will be even that much more challenging.
There is definitely a community feeling, in riding that nobody who's been in it for a while wants to lose, especially not at the expense of, bigger growth or whatever. So it's always a balancing act, how to just stay true to yourself, to stay true to the sport as it enters a more mainstream market and hits the airwaves and hits the Olympics and everything else. I feel pretty comfortable that we can get that message across, though.